Today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 3, Text 2 to 11. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Anyatedam vidyaseham ayata purvamojasam kim anyai kala nirdutai kalpante vaishnavadibhim. Anyatedam vidyaseham ayata purvam ojasa kam anyai kala nirdhutai kalpante vaishnavadibhe. Please chant. Kalpante Vaishnavadibhe. Anyatedam vidyaseham ayata purva ojasa manyai yutai kalpante Vaishnavadibhe. Vaishnavis, please. Anyate Yadam Te Vaishnavadibhe. Purvamojasa Te Vaishnavadibhe. Anyatha, just the opposite. Idam, this universe. Vidhyasya, shall make. Aham, I. Ayatha, inappropriate. Purvam, as it was before. Ojasa, by dint of the power of my austerity. Kim, what use? Anyai, with other. Kala nirdhutai, vanquish in due course of time. Kalpa ante, at the end of millennium. Vaishnava adibhe, with the planets like Dhruva Loka or Vaikuntha Loka. So this is text 11. Before we read the translation of text 11, we'll go back and read the shlokas that haven't been read. So shloka 2, I'll read just English. In the valley of Mandara hill, Hiranyakashipu began performing his austerities by standing with his toes on the ground, keeping his arms upward and looking toward the sky. This position was extremely difficult, but he accepted it as a means to attain perfection. Text 3. From the hair on Hiranyakashipu's head there emanated an effulgent light, as brilliant and intolerable as the rays of the sun at the time of dissolution. Seeing the performance of such austere penances, the demigods, who had been wandering throughout the planets, now returned to their respective homes. Text 4. Because of Hiranyakashipu's severe austerities, fire came from his head, and this fire and its smoke spread throughout the sky, encompassing the upper and lower planets, which all became extremely hot. Text 5. Because of the power of his severe austerities, all the rivers and oceans were agitated. The surface of the globe with its mountains and islands began trembling, and the stars and planets fell. All directions were ablaze. Scorched and extremely disturbed because of Hiranyakashipu's severe penances, all the demigods left the planets where they reside and went to the planet of Lord Brahma, where they informed the Creator as follows. O Lord of the demigods, O Master of the universe, because of the fire emanating from Hiranyakashipu's head, as a result of his severe austerities, we have become so disturbed that we could not stay in our planets but have come to you. O great person, Chief of the universe, if you think it proper, kindly stop these disturbances meant to destroy everything before all your obedient subjects are annihilated. Hiranyakashipu has undertaken a most severe type of austerity. Although his plan is not unknown to you, kindly listen as we submit his intentions. The Supreme Person within this universe, Lord Brahma, has gotten his exalted post by dint of severe austerities, mystic power, and trance. Consequently, after creating the universe, he has become the most worshipable demigod within it. Since I am eternal and time is eternal, I shall endeavor for such austerity, mystic power, and trance for many, many births, and thus I shall occupy the same post occupied by Lord Brahma. Purport? Hiranyakashipu's determination was to occupy the post of Lord Brahma, but this was impossible because Brahma has a long duration of life. As confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 8.17, Sahasra Yoga Paryantam Aharyat Brahmano Vidu, 1000 yugas equals 1 day of Brahma. The duration of Brahma's life is extremely great, and consequently it was impossible for Hiranyakashipu to occupy that post. Nonetheless, his decision was that since the self, Atma, in the time abode eternal, if he could not occupy that post in one lifetime, he would continue to execute austerities life after life, so that sometimes he would be able to do so. And now the translation of text 11. By dint of my severe austerities, I shall reverse the results of pious and impious activities. I shall overturn all the established practices within this world. Even Dhruva Loka will be vanquished at the end of millennium. Therefore, what is the use of it? I shall prefer to remain in the position of Brahma. Purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Hiranyakashipu's demoniac determination was explained to Lord Brahma by the demigods, who informed him that Hiranyakashipu wanted to overturn all established principles. After executing severe austerities, people within this material world are promoted to the heavenly planets, but Hiranyakashipu wanted them to be unhappy, suffering because of the diplomatic feelings of the demigods, even in the heavenly planets. He wanted those who were harassed in this world by material transactions to be unhappy for the same reason, even in the heavenly planets. Indeed, he wanted to introduce such harassment everywhere. One might ask how this would be possible, since the universal order has been established since time immemorial, but Hiranyakashipu was proud to declare that he would be able to do everything by the power of his tapasya. He wanted to make the Vaishnava's position insecure. These are some of the symptoms of asuric determination. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashtadadesha Tharine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishna Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaura Tvishre Namaha Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Suti Devi Pranamami Hari Priye He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Vancha Kalpataru Vishya Kripa Sindhumbhye Vacha Patithanam Bhavenebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So we are at the beginning of the third chapter of the 7th canto, and here we read about the Hiranyakashipu's endeavor to attain the post of Lord Brahma, the most exalted post in the universe. And we hear also about his demoniac, asuric determination. It's mentioned also here that he wanted everybody in the universe to become unhappy. Interesting. Vaishnavas, they are called Parasukha Dukhi. Parasukha Sukhi, Paradukha. How is it? Paradukha Dukhi. Vaishnavas, they are unhappy when others are unhappy, and they are Parasukha Sukhi. They are unhappy. They are happy when others are happy. But Hiranyakashipu is exactly the opposite. He's Paradukha Sukhi. He is unhappy when others are happy, and he is happy when others are not happy. So he desires misfortune for everybody on this planet Earth and in the heavenly planets also. So very interesting fellow, this Hiranyakashipu, isn't it? And just some shlokas before, in the previous chapter, this same person was preaching great philosophy. He was speaking about the science of the soul. And it was completely in accordance with the Vedas. So it was very high philosophy. And it was coming from him. And now in this chapter we see that he is engaging in some very detrimental practices, wanting to harm everybody. So how does this go together? Person is speaking very high philosophy, but then he's acting in some other way. Have you heard about that before? His prachar and his achar, his preaching and his behavior, they're contradictory. They don't match. Does it happen sometimes to somebody else except Hiranyakashipu? I think it does. Srila Prabhupada in 8th canto, in the purport one shloka, this is the chapter about Mohini Murti incarnating and giving nectar to demigods. So there's a shloka that are explaining that although both demigods and demons, they had they engaged in the same endeavor, there was the same time, same sort of motivation, they achieved completely different result. Why? Because demigods, they took shelter of the Supreme Lord, and the demons, they didn't. And Prabhupada comments in the purport. I'll just read the excerpt from the purport. There are many karmis in the dress of devotees, but the Supreme Personality of Godhead can detect their purpose. The karmis want to use the property of the Lord for their selfish sense gratification, but a devotee endeavors to use the Lord's property for God's service. Therefore, a devotee is always distinct from the karmis, although the karmis may dress like devotees. Very interesting, isn't it? Karmis can dress as devotees. And then there is another purport that I found. This is in Chaitanya Charitamrita, in Madhya Lila, 1st chapter, shloka 220. Prabhupada again comments, unfortunately, in this age of Kali, there are many mundane persons in the dress of Vaishnavas, And Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has described them as disciples of Kali. He says, Kali Chela. He indicates that there is another Vaishnava, a pseudo Vaishnava, with tilak on his nose and kanti beads around his neck. Such a pseudo Vaishnava associates with money and women and is jealous of successful Vaishnavas. Although passing for a Vaishnava, his only business is earning money in the dress of a Vaishnava. Bhaktivinoda Thakur therefore says that such a pseudo Vaishnava is not a Vaishnava at all, but a disciple of Kali Yuga. Interesting, Kali Chelas. So where are all these Kali Chelas? I'm not suggesting now that we look around and point to each other. I'm suggesting that we look for Kali Chela in only one place. That's our own heart. If you look very carefully, we can find that small guy called Kali Chela squatting in one corner of our heart and waiting for opportunity to jump up and show himself. So what is this opportunity that he's waiting for? What is the chance he's waiting for? He's waiting for the opportunity when we are in touch with the money, power, positions, opposite gender, fame, reputation. When we are in touch with these triggers, Kali Chela, he gets the strength. And if we are not very careful, he can become very strong, stronger and stronger, possessing us completely until it's too late. He can completely take over our heart. And then it's just too late. Our heart has become corrupted, and this will lead us to commit one offense after another, degrading more and more. So this is how corruption of the heart happens. But since individuals, they are never alone islands in a sea, then this individual corruption is usually followed by corruption of organization, of community, of society. And all this is resulting in a social and organizational dysfunction, disunity, divisions, and fights, and consequently not at all very spiritual atmosphere. But usually we have a tendency, we want to point to organizational corruption, we want to find who is guilty, who is responsible. But before we can do that, we have actually to address the problem in our own heart. We have to address the root cause of that corruption. So what is the root cause of corruption? The root cause are our misdirected desires. Srila Prahlad Maharaj, he prays to Lord Nrsimhadev in one shloka, "O my worshipable Lord, because of the seed of lusty desires, which is the root cause of material existence, is within the core of everyone's heart, you have sent me to this material world to exhibit the symptoms of a pure devotee." So he mentions clearly the root cause of material existence, our lusty desires in the heart. So what is desire in general? Desire is a faculty of the soul. The soul is the one who desires. And these desires can be of two types. Material, that means we desire something for ourselves, for my own pleasure. We have a separatist mentality. And then we have spiritual desires. We desire something and everything for Krishna and His pleasure. So to change our existence, to change our life, we have to change one thing. We have to change our desires. We cannot annihilate them. It's impossible to be without desires, as Mayavadis try to do. You have to desire something. So either you will desire material things, or you will desire to serve and please and love Krishna. So these material desires, as I already mentioned, they are triggered by things like money, women opposite gender, power, fame, that triggered by these things. So we might think, oh, this is the cause of the problem. Money is the cause of the problem. Well, everybody likes money, as we know. There used to be one old song, money, money, money must be funny in the rich man's world. Money, money, money must be sunny in the rich man's world. But is it really funny and sunny in the rich man's world? Well, money in itself is not the problem at all. The problem is our misuse of the money, our greed that resides in our heart. That's the actual problem. So we have, in general case, both material and spiritual desires in our heart. Unless we are pure devotee, then there is only spiritual desire in our heart. But in stages before becoming a pure devotee, there is a mix. So it's not black and white. It's not just material or spiritual. At certain points of time, we feel a lot of spiritual sentiment and devotion and spiritual desires. But then in other intervals of time, we feel overwhelmed by material desires and urge to act in a material way. And if we are not careful at those times, it can be very dangerous. So having contradictory desires, because material and spiritual desires, they are contradictory, they are conflicting. So if they coexist at the same time in the heart, then what is going to be outcome of that? It's very difficult to say. The outcome might not be very good. So in order to illustrate how having conflicting desires in the heart, how nurturing both material and spiritual desires in our heart, how can it be dangerous for us, I'll relate one old story. This is found in Puranas and also found in Garga Samhita. It's about one individual who happened to meet the Lord personally, and initially she had quite some devotion towards the Lord, but then a little later she was overwhelmed by completely opposite feelings, and the result was not very good. So it happened millions and millions of years ago at the north of river Narmada, which is nowadays Reva, which is the river that is separating North and South India, flowing through Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh, Gujarat. So on the north of that river, there was a field called Brigokacha. So in that field, great sacrifice was going on. Bali Maharaj, he was performing the sacrifice. Just imagine the scene. Great Yagya Kund, huge sacrificial fire, thousands of brahmanas ringing the bells, sounds of swaha, swaha, pouring the ghee in the fire. So in this atmosphere, Bali Maharaj is seated around the fire together with his good wife Indiyavali and his young, manageable daughter called Ratnamala. So they're all taking part in the sacrifice. At one point, at the entrance of sacrificial arena, they saw effulgent light coming from the entrance. And they all turned there and look who is standing there. It's a very small boy, dressed in a deer skin with a straw belt, with a rod and kamandalu in his hands. So it was Lord Vamanadev. By his personal effulgence, the effulgence of everybody else present diminished. And Ratnamala, this daughter of Maharaj Bali, she's completely mesmerized by the beauty of the Lord Vamanadev. She's looking at him and she contemplates, oh, how it would be nice if this small boy would become my child, my baby. Then I would be able to feed him my breast milk. So she has these very devotional sentiments and feelings in her heart. So the story goes on. Vamanadev comes, he begs from Bali Maharaj. There is a long conversation. We don't have time for that. At the end, we know that Lord Vamanadev, he takes all possessions of Bali Maharaj in just 2 steps of land. And when Bali Maharaj is not able to give land for the 3rd step, Garuda comes and he binds Bali Maharaj. So he's completely humiliated there, lying on the ground, tied with the robes of Varuna. And Ratnamala, she cannot believe what she is seeing. She's completely enraged. So her devotional feelings from the beginning now swung into completely another direction. Now she is so angry and enraged with Lord Vamanadev that she desires to kill him. And this is not devotional desire at all. Desire to kill God, desire to kill Krishna. I forgot to mention, when she first actually desired to feed him his breast milk, Lord Vamanadev, he understood it because he's a Paramatma in everybody's heart. And he blessed her. Evamastu, let it be. Tatastu, let it be. He blessed her that this desire will be fulfilled. But now, when she was desiring to kill him, again he was aware of that as Paramatma in her heart. So he was wondering, how come? You wanted to be my mother, now you want to kill him? These are very contradictory desires. How am I to fulfill it? But then he thought, well, since I'm Supreme Personality of Godhead and all contradictions are resolved in me, no problem. Tatastu, evamastu, let it be. So he blessed her. So what was the outcome of these 2 conflicting desires and blessings that she got? Well, in the next life, she got not such a favorable birth. She was born in family of Rakshasas, of demons. She had Aghasura and Bakasura as her brothers. And you can imagine the lineage, family lineage that she had. And her name was, as we know, Putana, Rakshasi Putana. Ferocious monster, blood-drinking witch. So in the order of Kamsa, she used to cruise above Raja using her broomstick. Sometimes we think that the broomsticks and witches are just stories from the tales. But no, it's actually existing in the Vedas. There are Kechari. They're called Kecharis, these witches. So one day she was cruising, looking for Krishna. And what could she observe below her? She observed the rivers of white and black cows flowing here and there. She observed beautiful groves, green gardens, birds, bees buzzing, and the cowherds tending their own duties. So it was a very beautiful scene. So she landed from the sky in one grove, and he transformed from her ferocious form into the form of very, very beautiful woman. It described that her face was more beautiful than the lotus flower in the autumn. But still her heart was as sharp as the razor. And while she was going towards the Nanda Maharaj's house in Gokul, everybody was amazed at her beauty. All Vrajavasis thought, wow, it must be Goddess Lakshmi that came to bless baby Krishna. They were a little naive, but because they were pure-hearted. So Putana, she was led by her infallible Rakshasi instinct. She didn't need a GPS to locate where Krishna was. So she came to the house and she entered unobstructed. Mother Rohini and Yashoda, they were there. But they didn't say anything because they were completely perplexed with her beauty. They just were standing there speechless. So Putana came into the maternity room and saw Krishna there, lying in the cradle. In the first moment, her first impression was, she was amazed at his effulgence and his beauty. And initially, again, some motherly feelings came to her heart. But then, her Rakshasi nature took over. no, I came here to kill this boy. But at the same time, she saw that Krishna was like a fire covered with ash. So she felt some fear. But then her mind kicked in and said, come on, Putana, you killed so many children. What can this small baby do to you? So she approached the cradle. She took Krishna. Krishna looked at her, but then he closed his eyes. He didn't want to look anymore at the woman because he wanted to kill her. So she put the nipple of her breast into Krishna's mouth. It was smeared with the poison. And Krishna was sucking the milk, but at the same time, he was sucking her life air, her prana. And Putana started to suffocate. She started yelling, let me go, let me go. She tried to knock him off of her breast, but she couldn't do it. So she started running. She ran out of the house. She ran into the fields. And again, she assumed her monstrous, gigantic form. And eventually, she fell dead. When the Brijvasis found her, Krishna was still playing on her breast. So this is the result one gets having contradictory desires in his heart. So sometimes we think, well, I'm a devotee. If I don't make it back to Godhead in this lifetime, at least I'll be born as a devotee. But there's no guarantee. Absolutely no guarantee. Putana, she was a daughter of a Mahajan, Bali Maharaj. So she could have learned a lot from him about devotional service. But still, she was born as a demon. We might think, okay, I'm born in a family devotee. I'm a second generation devotee. In the next life, I'm going to be third generation devotee. But there is no guarantee. We might again become a first generation devotee, being born in a non-devotee family. There is no guarantee. That's why we have to be very, very careful about our desires, not to be bewildered by them. So how? How not to be bewildered by material desires? Well, there is only one way. We have to increase our spiritual desires in order to our material desires to decrease. So they are inversely proportional in the same mathematics. If you increase one, the other one will decrease. If you increase other, the other one will decrease. So if we increase our spiritual desires, our material desires will go down more and more until they completely disappear. So how to increase our spiritual desires? By sadhu sangha, by the association of pure-hearted devotees who have spiritual desires in their heart. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, in his Dushtamana, he speaks about Kanaka, Kamini, Pratishta Bhagini. He speaks about the tigers of Kanaka, wealth, Kamini, beautiful woman, and Pratishta, reputation or fame. So he says in the shloka, one is truly a Vaishnava who has given up the habit of falling victim to the ferocious tigers of wealth, beauty, and fame. Such a soul is factually detached from material life and is known as a pure devotee. Someone with this consciousness of detachment has thereby become victorious over the mundane world of birth and death. So Kanaka, Kamini, Pratishta, Bhagini. Of these three, Pratishta is kind of the most interesting, at least to me. Desire for fame and reputation. Sometimes Prabhupada mentions one point, as a Hajia or pseudo-devotee, he presents himself as being free from desire for reputation and fame in order to become a famous as a humble man. He's presenting himself as a very humble to become a famous as a very humble. It's contradictory. So how can we give up this habit, falling prey to Kanaka, Kamini, and Pratishta? Srimad Bhagavatam says, Srimatan Swakatha Krishna, Punya Shravana Kirtana, Hridyantas Tohya Bhadrani, Vidunoti, Suhrid Satham. So Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma, Hridyantasto, he is inside of the heart. And he is the Suhrid Satham, he is the benefactor of a truthful devotee. He cleanses desire for material enjoyment, Vidunoti, or the devotee who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. Punya Shravana Kirtana. Shravana and Kirtana is the process which is cleansing our heart from these strong material desires. But interesting word here in this shloka is this Srimantam, means the urge, the one who has developed the urge to hear the message of the Lord. Then the Lord enters his heart and is cleansing his heart. So there should be some urge for this process to work. The urge to hear, the urge to serve, the desire to serve. There must be some desire. We can chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra without any desires, be completely blank, chant mechanically. It's not going to work so well. It will take a long, long time until our heart is purified. Or we can chant having heart filled with the material desires. Well, the result is going to be material. Have you ever experienced that? Sometimes you're completely obsessed by one particular material desire. You wanted something really bad. And by chanting, you're just contemplating about that thing. So the holy name of the Lord is a touchstone. And whatever it touches, it fulfills the desire. It fulfills. So if we are chanting Maha Mantra by contemplating certain material desire, with one pointed attention, that desire can be fulfilled. I don't mean chanting Maha Mantra and be distracted by hundreds and thousands of material desires. Then nothing will be fulfilled, of course, because we are so distracted. But if we have mind focused on one thing, and if it's material, it might be fulfilled by the power of the holy name. That's why we should be very, very careful. Of course, if we have a spiritual desire in our heart and we chant the holy name, then that spiritual desire will be fulfilled. Srila Prabhupada, again, in the purport to this slota, Srimatan Swakatha Krishna, there is a very beautiful purport. I want to read it. Just give me a few more minutes. If you wish to go, you can go, because class is officially finished. One cannot enter into the kingdom of God unless one is perfectly cleared of all sins. The material sins are products of our desires to lord it over material nature. It is very difficult to get rid of such desires. Women and wealth are very difficult problems for the devotee making progress on the path back to Godhead. Many stalwarts in devotional line fell victim to these allurements and thus retreated from the path of liberation. But when one is helped by the Lord Himself, the whole process becomes as easy as anything but the divine grace of the Lord. To become restless in the contact of women and wealth is not an astonishment, because every living being is associated with such things from remote time, practically immemorial, and it takes time to recover from this foreign nature. But if one is engaged in hearing the glories of the Lord, gradually he realizes his real position. By the grace of God, such a devotee gets sufficient strength to defend himself from a state of disturbances, and gradually all disturbing elements are eliminated from his mind. So once devotee is very advanced, like we have example of Sudama Brahmana, even if he is given great wealth, he's not going to be disturbed. So when Sudama Brahmana, he went to Dwaraka to ask for little wealth from Krishna, but he didn't ask. But when he came back, he was granted so much. It was a huge palace, beautiful wife with thousands of maid servants, gold and everything else. But still it's described that he continued his devotional service without falling victim to these allurements, because he was an advanced devotee and his heart was pure. So that's why for him it was not a problem. But for us, who might be in the neophyte stage, these things might be a problem. So that's why we have to be very careful about them. That's why Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he is teaching us what to desire and what to pray for. He's saying, Na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim, kavitam ajagadisha kamaye, mama janmani janman ishvare bhavatat bhaktir, ahaitu kitvai. Oh my Lord, if you want to bestow a benediction upon me, he's saying, I don't want any wealth, na dhanam, na janam, I don't want any followers, na sundarim, I don't want any beautiful woman. What I want is Bhagavad Bhakti. I want your cordless devotional service, birth after birth. And similar shloka comes to my mind from Damodarashtaka. Satyavrata Muni prays in the Damodarashtaka, we sing it every Kartik. Varam deva moksha, na moksham vadima, na chanyam vrineham varishada piha, idam te vapurnata gopala balam, sada me manas yavirastam kim anyai. Oh Lord, although you are able to give all kinds of benedictions, I do not pray to you for the boon of impersonal liberation, nor the highest liberation of eternal life in Vaikuntha, nor any other boon. Lord, I simply pray, I simply wish that this form of yours as Bala Gopal in Vrindavan may be ever manifest in my heart. For what is the use to me of any other boon besides this? So he's saying, Kim Anyai, what is the use of any other boon? So what is the use of money? What is the use of wealth, of a beautiful spouse, of fame, of reputation? What is the use? Kim Anyai. At the end of life, we have to give up anyway all these things. So what is the use of them? Without love, what is the use? Without bhakti, what is the use? So Sanatana Goswami in Brihad Bhagavatamrita says that even 9 limbs of bhakti, they don't have any taste without love for Krishna, without prema. He says, indeed, without prema, the 9 kinds of devotional service are like vegetables without salt. Have you ever eaten sabji without salt? Elaborate meal without hunger. What is the feast without hunger? You cannot digest it. What is the use? Scriptural study without understanding. You study something and you don't understand it. What is the use? Or gardens without fruit. What is the use of garden when there are no fruits there? So in a similar way, what is the use of everything without love for Krishna, without prema? Okay, time is up, so I have to finish. So just at the end, I want to conclude the main point and the message I had in this class is that changing our life means changing our desires. To change our life, you have to change our desires. If you have any comments or questions, next. Thank you very much. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.